made to you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn!
Were you scared of that? No? Not at all, huh?
Nope. I'm from Brooklyn.
You're from Brooklyn, huh?
Okay guys, Frank Stout, just a guy from Brooklyn, and I'm here to bring you a new Spider-Man ranking, thanks to the fact that we have a brand new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'm a pretty old guy, so for me, Spider-Man takes me back, all the way back to my days as a child. They had the old Spider-Man cartoon. It had that catchy song. But for me, it was the actual Spider-Man comics that got me hooked. Spider-Man was my favorite superhero, and it wasn't even close. There was a short-lived live-action Spider-Man TV show, and if you look at it now, it looks pretty damn cheesy, but back then, it was something that I was dying to see every time it came on TV. Then you got my teen years, the Saturday morning cartoons. You had Spider-Man and his amazing friends. That was kind of like the MCU for us kids back then, because that show introduced so many different heroes and villains from Marvel Comics. By the way, if you've never seen Japanese Spider-Man, it's absolutely insane. But let's stop with all the reminiscing. It's time to get to my 2 rules. Rule number 1 is spoilers. With the exception of the new movie Spider-Man Brand New Day, I plan to spoil everything, so that is your big spoiler warning. Rule number 2 is, as always, this is a favorites list, not a best list. So the best way you could come at me about my list is to show me yours in the comments section. Kicking things off at number 11, we have Spider-Man Far From Home, came out in 2019. A decent Spider-Man teen comedy that takes place on a trip to Europe, but I think it's the problem with most post-Endgame MCU films. A ridiculous plot that makes absolutely no sense. Why would Tony Stark leave a very powerful set of glasses that can release like nukes and ballistic missiles at like anybody he feels with no safety guards whatsoever? You've got another pissed off Stark employee. Seriously, how many is that now? Generally, everybody wants to see Spidey in New York City doing his thing. So of course this one takes place in Europe. But here's my biggest problem. Spider-Man is still Iron Man's little bitch. And for the record, Tony Stark is dead in this movie. There are some positives, like Jake Gyllenhaal playing Mysterio, and he does the most with what he was given. I really like those visuals when he used illusions to try to trick Spider-Man. But at the end of the day, this is just a Euro Trip Spider-Man mashup, and guess what? I'd rather go watch Euro Trip.
If you do not wish to have your valuables stolen, I suggest destroying them or discarding them right now. You can also try hiding your valuables in your anus.
Coming in at number 10 is Spider-Man 3, came out in 2007. Destroyed by the suits at Sony Studios for wanting to shoehorn Venom into a pretty stacked story. But it has become a big guilty pleasure movie for me. Sandman is a great villain despite them messing with the Spider-Man lore and making him Uncle Ben's real killer. Both Sandman and Venom sport really top-notch CGI effects, especially for like an early 2000s movie. And coming from me, that's really saying something. Super Crush Bryce Dallas Howard plays Gwen Stacy, which, if you know, is a bit weird being introduced after MJ, but I did think they formed a nice love triangle. But no matter how you slice it, this is an inferior movie compared to the first two. Why is it a guilty pleasure? It's simple. Bully Maguire. Having Peter be a complete douchebag for about a 20-minute span, which includes flirting, strutting down the street, several dance numbers, one in a bar that's so cringy that I have come to embrace it all instead of hating it. Spider-Man 3, you're bad, but you're my kind of bad. Coming in at number 9 is The Amazing Spider-Man 2, came out in 2014. Apparently the suits didn't learn their lesson after ruining Spider-Man 3. This time they pushed for a setup for the Sinister Six. The final act of The Amazing Spider-Man ended with Peter deciding to break his promise to Gwen's father and be with her and put it all behind them. So what is the majority of this movie about? The exact same shit. Harry Osborn, who came out of frickin' nowhere, is dying and he needs Spider-Man's blood, which is part of the setup for this whole Sinister Six business. But for me, where this movie shines is the big battles between Spider-Man and Electro. They just seem to pop at the screen. They are the highlight for me. There's also Spidey's upgraded costume from The Amazing Spider-Man, which was very dark and kind of put together on the fly. This one might be the most comic accurate, and it really pops. Those blues and those reds just scream at you. He's also got like big spider eyes, and I love that. Of course, they try to continue the Peter's parents storyline where they're like spies, but it pretty much goes nowhere. But I will say that if you shorten the Peter-Gwen dispute and completely remove Paul Giamatti playing a Russian gangster complete with terrible CGI Rhino tech suit, you got yourself a top 5 Spider-Man movie. Coming in at number 8 is Spider-Man Homecoming, came out in 2017. The MCU John Hughes-esque film with Spidey being mentored by Tony Stark, and I think that it has lots of highs and lows. Michael Keaton as the Vulture is a great choice, giving him an origin story that works for everything that's been going on with the MCU, and I just love it whenever he's on the screen. I just wish that Spidey's fights with him weren't so short and one-sided. But the twist with Vulture is the highlight of the movie, with Peter having to choose what is right over his own happiness once again. I actually love the fact that Spider-Man was introduced by Tony in Civil War, but Spider-Man being Iron Man's bitch for something like 4 movies is just ridiculous. I mean, there are long scenes with just Peter talking to his suit's AI assistant. And that's just not Spider-Man to me. Bottom line, this is a solid entry, but it should have been the last Spider-Man movie where he needs the training wheels. Coming in at number 7 is Spider-Man 2, came out in 2004. This is easily my hot take choice, and yes, I can't deny the majority of this movie's greatness, but I also roll my eyes every time Spider-Man spontaneously loses his powers throughout the film, like he's got spider erectile dysfunction.
You know, you can take a pill for that.
Nah, that's a cheat. You start with the pills, next thing you know, you're putting in hydraulics. A hard-on should be gotten legitimately or shouldn't be gotten at all.
I think Mark Twain said that, didn't he?
It gets even worse when they recreate the famous Peter quits being Spider-Man storyline from the comics, as his body actually shrinks to him being a skinny guy again. Somebody please make that make sense to me. Alfred Molina is perfect casting for a comic accurate Doc Ock, and Peter's relationships with Otto, Harry, and MJ make for one great Spider soap opera. The fights with Doc Ock and the subway scene, all iconic. Bottom line, there's more highs than lows, but damn do those lows piss me off. Coming in at number 6 is The Amazing Spider-Man, came out in 2012. The reboot had everybody asking, why another origin story? Well, to introduce a backstory from the comics about Peter's parents being spies. I think they were working for S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. And they wanted to add this to the lore. And guess what? It was a colossal waste of time because nobody gives a shit about Peter Parker's parents. Another reason is to introduce Gwen Stacy, played by Emma Stone, as Peter's first love interest, which is more comic accurate. In the comics, Peter dated Gwen, Harry dated MJ. It was a very Archie and Jughead, Betty and Veronica type situation. Did I lose some of you youngins with that reference? This Spider-Man, played by Andrew Garfield, is darker, has web shooters, and as Peter, he's more loner skateboard kid and less button-down wearing nerd. As far as Spider-Man's humor when he's got the mask on, I think Garfield is better than the other two.
Just let me go.
Is that a knife? Is that a real knife?
Yes, it's a real knife.
My weakness, it's small knives.
Oscorp is at the center of this whole story, and the Lizard is a serviceable first villain, despite the stupid CGI-looking face.
What the fuck is that?
Garfield and Stone's chemistry are what saves the movie from itself, as their scenes feel so organic and genuine, and it makes sense because they were a real-life couple. Bottom line, this is a solid alternate reality version of Spider-Man that had a lot of promise. Coming in at number 5 is Spider-Man, came out in 2002. I've always loved Spider-Man's origin story, and this is the most comic accurate. And seeing this for the first time was everything for a fan like me. The casting seemed perfect, and it was all going to plan. And then the Green Goblin showed up, looking like a dime store version of a Power Ranger. What were they thinking? There are pics all over the net of the Goblin mask that they were thinking of using, and to be honest, you didn't even have to use one. Willem Dafoe's face alone could pull it off. This is pretty much proven in No Way Home, which came out almost 20 years later. Speaking of years, Spidey's high school years are so short, blink and all of a sudden everyone is graduating. But the Peter, Harry, MJ love triangle is set up nicely. But why did they do this? Spider-Man has so many great stories while he's in high school. Could it be because all the high school kids look too old? I mean, Flash Thompson looked like he was held back 15 straight years and he was suffering from a midlife crisis. But the way I see it, this is more forgivable than Spider-Man not getting a spider boner for half a movie. The visuals are stunning, especially in the New York City scenes, with colors that really pop. I also have to mention the historical significance, as Blade, X-Men, and Spider-Man started something. Movie studios began to take comic book movies more seriously, and so the game was changed. Bottom line, you keep Peter in high school for the whole movie and make Green Goblin more comic accurate, you've got the definitive Spider-Man movie right here. Coming in at number 4 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, came out in 2018. The only flaw in this movie is that it's not live action, and its story is so good, it's actually better than Miles' origin story from the comics. Having an older Peter Parker, complete with dad bod and sweatpants, to mentor Miles as they must stop the Kingpin from destroying all reality is so fitting. And adding Spider-Gwen and a zany group of spider people makes this a teen movie just like Avengers or X-Men. For Peter, it was Uncle Ben, and for Miles, it's his Uncle Aaron, who just happens to be the Prowler, which gives you a nice twist. The CG art style here is phenomenal. It's something you've never seen in an animated movie, making this a comic book movie in more than one sense of the word. There's scenes that just pop right off the pages. Although this is Miles' movie, the film celebrates all the great years of Spider-Man, and it even pokes fun at some of the bad moments. He also just happens to be half Puerto Rican, living in Brooklyn. Being exactly that, am I a little biased? Hell fucking yeah. Coming in at number 3 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, came out in 2023. The sequel not only continues Miles' story, it adds a new dangerous villain in the Spot. It also gives you more of Gwen's story as she and Miles become more than just friends. Miles also struggles being a hero while trying to keep it all from his parents, and just when you think it can't get any more complicated, he gets thrust into the Spider-Verse, led by Spider-Man 2099 Miguel O'Hara, who drops the huge bomb that Miles was never meant to be Spider-Man, and his existence threatens all reality. This movie definitely holds the record for most Spider-Man Easter eggs, with everything from TV shows to video games. It's also a dark middle chapter, much like Empire Strikes Back, but the biggest factor for me is it takes the artistic style from the first movie and expands it with all types of mediums. Spider-Gwen's universe is done in a very water paint style, with warm colors turning cool depending on her mood. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet for the senses, and I'm very curious on how they top it with the next installment. And my runner-up at number 2 is Spider-Man Brand New Day, released now in 2026. It's almost like the MCU knew what I've been asking for and gave it to me specifically. Spider-Man is no longer Iron Man's little bitch. He's not being mentored by Tony Stark, guided by Nick Fury, or other Spider-Men. He's in New York City, surrounded by New York City heroes, and a few that aren't. This one has huge, lengthy Spider-Man battles against multiple villains, and it continues his story about leaving MJ and Ned behind in order to protect them. Tom Holland has outdone himself here, as he has huge chemistry with everyone he comes in contact with. Barenthal, Ruffalo, and even MCU newcomer Sadie Sink of Stranger Things fame. Spider-Man is also going through some growing pains, and this was teased in the trailers. I was very worried about this. There is a famous storyline from the comics where Spider-Man continues to mutate and he ends up with extra arms, making him like a human spider. They even showed this story in a few of his cartoons, and I really didn't want to see that because I thought it was really stupid. And I am glad that they did not go in that direction. All I can say is throughout all these movies, it appears that Peter's spider balls haven't fully dropped yet. I think it's got the most action, and it's definitely the most emotional of the entire movie franchise. But I may be feeling some recency bias, so only time will tell. And my number 1 Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man No Way Home, came out in 2021. I do not have a favorite live-action Spider-Man. I believe that they all bring something to the table. I don't think there's a definitive Spider-Man movie either. Some come close, but they all have flaws. This movie is far from perfect. The entire setup is laughable. It's also a multiverse movie, which a lot of people are getting tired of. And for some, the movie probably hasn't aged well. A lot of critics are throwing around the term fan service, and I'll agree that a lot of post-Endgame MCU movies are swimming in it. And so I'm going to throw in my own term that isn't new: crossover event. We've had them since before I was born. So is this fan service or crossover event? The true answer is probably both. But for me to see 3 different Spider-Men working together, talking to each other, comparing their experiences, and learning from one another, for me, that is just special. I still get chills seeing Toby and Andrew come out of those portals. You've also got a rogues gallery of past villains, and they've all got roles to play, and that's the point. These aren't cameos. They're not just here for a minute or two. Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin has never looked better or more dangerous. You also get to catch up with the other 2 Spider-Men, getting a glimpse of an epilogue to their journeys. I absolutely love the film. I watch it on the regular, and watching all 3 Spider-Men swing around the Statue of Liberty fighting all these villains, it gives me a huge fan boner of epic proportions. From the BK from the city that never sleeps, peace, baby.
This is a Brooklyn-bound express train. The next stop is Brooklyn Bridge.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.